If you're here, there's a reason. This video didn't appear by accident. It found you at the precise moment your consciousness began questioning the reality you live in. And if you feel something shifting inside you and around you, it's because something truly is. That sense of acceleration, of patterns repeating, of living the same day with different faces, it's real. Not in the usual sense, but energetically real. We're experiencing a global shift of consciousness. What many ancient masters called the change of the age is, in truth, a movement between vibrational fields. You might call them parallel realities, dimensions, or as modern esoteric thinkers say, timelines. Each represents a version of reality, sustained by a specific frequency of thought and emotion. Thoth, the ancient Egyptian god of wisdom and time, never used the term lower timelines, and it's important to be honest about that. In authentic Egyptian texts and Hermetic writings, there's no direct reference to such a concept. What we do find are teachings about levels of consciousness, polarities of energy, and the ascension of spirit over matter. Modern esoteric authors, inspired by works like the Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean, reinterpreted these ancient principles through the lens of quantum science. According to that symbolic reading, lower timelines represent dense states of consciousness where the soul remains trapped in cycles of fear and limitation. In essence, timelines are a modern metaphor for what the ancients already described: the difference between living in ignorance and awakening to higher awareness. And Thoth's symbolic warning echoes through time. Man walks in circles, believing he moves forward. His prison is invisible, made of what he does not observe. That message aligns perfectly with what quantum science now shows. Reality responds to the observer. Thoth's timeless wisdom can be read as an ancient way of saying, the observer and the observed are one. Change your perception, and the universe changes with you. These are not poetic fictions. They're metaphysical descriptions of how consciousness shapes reality. When mind and emotion fall out of coherence, vibration drops, and consciousness descends into denser states of experience, what we now call lower timelines. These aren't punishments, they're frequencies. Each thought is a signal, each emotion a wave. Together, they determine which version of reality you collapse around yourself. Thoth's real teaching is simple and powerful. Time mirrors consciousness. When your mind expands, time unfolds. When your energy contracts, time loops. You've felt it. In moments of inspiration, everything aligns. Synchronicities, flow, clarity. But in fear or guilt, time freezes, life repeats. Those are the echoes of lower vibrations. And Thoth's hidden warning. It's not mysticism, it's responsibility. It's the reminder that the universe speaks vibration, and your coherence is the code. If everything that exists is vibration, then each of us is a field of energy shaping our own experience of time. But most people live disconnected from that perception, and that's precisely where the so-called lower timelines take form. These timelines are not spiritual punishments, nor are they separate dimensions floating in space. They are mental and emotional states sustained by repetitive patterns of frequency. Imagine the human mind as a transmitter. It sends thoughts and emotions into the quantum field. The field always responds. But if the signal is distorted by fear, doubt, or limiting beliefs, the response will also be distorted. That's how dense realities are created. Endless cycles of scarcity, failure, and spiritual disconnection. Neuroscience already shows that about 95% of our daily thoughts are automatic, products of subconscious programming, which means that if you don't consciously design your vibration, it will be designed for you by old memories, traumas, and external influence. That's why Thoth warned that man walks in circles, believing he moves forward. That's the circle of vibrational unconsciousness. The danger is that these lower timelines are fueled by collective thought patterns. The more people vibrate in fear, the denser the collective field becomes, negative information spreads, and the entire planet resonates with destructive frequencies, wars, polarization, emotional illness. But the good news is this: the opposite is also true. A single coherent consciousness has the power to alter the field around it. Quantum physics demonstrates this through coherence experiments. When a group of particles vibrates in harmony, the rest naturally align. In human terms, that means that every time you elevate your vibration through awareness, breath, compassion, or inner silence, you help reorganize the energetic field of humanity itself. That's why every conscious action matters. Every thought you hold in love, clarity, and truth, even if it seems small, sends a ripple through reality. And when thousands do the same, the global timeline begins to rise. That's why I'm asking you now, not for algorithms, but for vibration, to like this video and subscribe to this channel. Because when this message spreads, it doesn't just move through the internet, it moves through the collective field of consciousness. Each new person who receives it becomes another point of light, raising the frequency of the whole. That's how expansion happens. That's how change begins. And if this message resonates with you, write in the comments, "I choose to vibrate on the highest timeline." That's more than a comment. It's a quantum act of decision. When you declare it publicly, you anchor a new version of your reality. Thoth once said, "Words are forms, and forms create worlds." Today, physics calls this the observer effect. In practice, it means that reality doesn't exist until it's observed with intention. To declare is to create. And here begins the real work, understanding that change doesn't come from what you want, but from what you consistently sustain vibrationally. Energy responds to coherence, not desire. It's not enough to want to shift timelines. You must live as if you already have. You know you're trapped in a lower timeline when time seems to repeat itself, when everything you do requires excessive effort, and life feels like it's constantly draining your energy. It's as if there's a delay between who you know you are and what the world reflects back to you. Nothing flows. The same patterns return, disguised as new opportunities, but the ending is always the same. These repetitions are not coincidences. They are vibrational mirrors. Each recurring situation is showing you the frequency field you're resonating with. If you look closely, you'll notice that the outer world always reveals what your inner world is sustaining. Quantum physics calls this the collapse of the wave function, infinite potential energy contracting into a single event when observed. But observation isn't just done with the eyes, it's done with vibration. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. And that's exactly what keeps so many people trapped in cycles of repetition. That's why the first step to move out of a lower timeline is not to do more, but to feel differently. As long as your mind is tuned to fear, time will keep looping. But when you shift your emotion, even if nothing around you has changed yet, the field begins to reorganize. Energy recalibrates. The process is not external. It's internal and vibrational. Life doesn't get better when circumstances change. Circumstances change when vibration rises. Observe your thoughts. When you find yourself replaying a painful memory, judging someone, or comparing yourself, you are, in practice, reinforcing the old timeline. Every repeated thought is a vibrational signature, a silent command to the universe saying, "I choose to stay here." But when you become aware of what you feel and consciously choose emotions of peace, trust, and gratitude, you emit a new command. And the field responds. New people show up. New opportunities emerge. Doors that once seemed closed begin to open naturally. It's not magic. It's physics. It's coherence between emotion and intention. If you want to move into a higher timeline, the secret is to act as if you're already there. How would you behave if your life were already flowing? If time itself were working in your favor? Feel it. Breathe it. Because vibration always precedes manifestation. And remember, the mind tries to solve, but the heart transcends. The mind analyzes timelines. The heart changes them. That's why Thoth said, "A pure heart is the key to the gate of time." If this message resonates with you, write in the comments, "I choose to feel differently to live differently." It's a declaration of power, a simple way to interrupt an old vibrational cycle and choose another. And if you haven't liked this video yet, do it now, because every interaction creates a wave. And the more people vibrate with this message, the more the collective field reorganizes. The universal vibration shifts, and in a very real sense, so does time itself. Vibrational coherence is what unites mind, emotion, and energy into a single field. Without coherence, human beings fragment. They think one thing, feel another, and act in a completely different way. This lack of alignment creates turbulence in the quantum field. Modern science calls this electromagnetic incoherence. When the heart and brain emit signals at conflicting frequencies, the entire body falls out of order. Heart rhythm becomes irregular, the nervous system loses balance, and the brain loses clarity. But when harmony is restored, when thought and feeling match, the electromagnetic field stabilizes. It's as if the universe suddenly begins to hear your command. Thoth spoke of this symbolically when he said, "The sound of the heart is heard in the chambers of time." In modern language, that means emotional vibration is the password that opens the portals of reality. That's why the ancient Hermetic schools taught rhythmic breathing and sacred geometry visualization. These weren't rituals of superstition. They were technologies of vibrational coherence. When you synchronize breathing with mental intention, the heart's rhythm stabilizes, and your energy field expands. Today, neuroscience calls this heart coherence. It can be measured scientifically. Heart rate variability increases, the prefrontal cortex activates, and the immune system strengthens. But spiritually, it goes deeper. It's the moment a human becomes a conscious creator of their own timeline. If you want to feel it now, close your eyes for a few seconds and breathe slowly. Inhale to a count of 4, hold for 2, exhale for 4. As you do, imagine your heart radiating golden light that expands throughout your body. Feel your energy reorganizing with every breath. Feel time itself slowing down. This is the frequency of presence, and it's at this frequency that higher timelines open. Thoth said, "Time bends before the one who vibrates in harmony." Coherence creates a kind of spiritual gravity. It draws to you realities that match your vibration. That's not mysticism, it's resonance. The universe is a vibrational mirror. Whatever you sustain within, you experience without. That's why every reality shift begins in the heart. The heart is the first dimensional portal, not the physical heart, but the energetic field around it. When that field expands, it literally alters space-time around you. If you want to shift timelines, don't look for external doors. Create the frequency that opens the inner one. And if this message resonates with you, write in the comments, "I choose to live in coherence," because every word written with intention sends a wave through the collective field. And when thousands affirm the same, the planet's vibration changes. Like this video, share it with someone who's awakening, because knowledge, when shared, doesn't just inform, it transforms. Each person who awakens alters the field for all. Vibrational coherence is what unites mind, emotion, and energy into a single field. Without coherence, human beings fragment. They think one thing, feel another, and act in a completely different way. This lack of alignment creates turbulence in the quantum field. Modern science calls this electromagnetic incoherence. When the heart and brain emit signals at conflicting frequencies, the entire body falls out of order. Heart rhythm becomes irregular, the nervous system loses balance, and the brain loses clarity. But when harmony is restored, when thought and feeling match, the electromagnetic field stabilizes. It's as if the universe suddenly begins to hear your command. Thoth spoke of this symbolically when he said, "The sound of the heart is heard in the chambers of time." In modern language, that means emotional vibration is the password that opens the portals of reality. That's why the ancient Hermetic schools taught rhythmic breathing and sacred geometry visualization. These weren't rituals of superstition. They were technologies of vibrational coherence. When you synchronize breathing with mental intention, the heart's rhythm stabilizes, and your energy field expands. Today, neuroscience calls this heart coherence. It can be measured scientifically. Heart rate variability increases, the prefrontal cortex activates, and the immune system strengthens. But spiritually, it goes deeper. It's the moment a human becomes a conscious creator of their own timeline. If you want to feel it now, close your eyes for a few seconds and breathe slowly. Inhale to a count of 4, hold for 2, exhale for 4. As you do, imagine your heart radiating golden light that expands throughout your body. Feel your energy reorganizing with every breath. Feel time itself slowing down. This is the frequency of presence, and it's at this frequency that higher timelines open. Thoth said, "Time bends before the one who vibrates in harmony." Coherence creates a kind of spiritual gravity. It draws to you realities that match your vibration. That's not mysticism, it's resonance. The universe is a vibrational mirror. Whatever you sustain within, you experience without. That's why every reality shift begins in the heart. The heart is the first dimensional portal, not the physical heart, but the energetic field around it. When that field expands, it literally alters space-time around you. If you want to shift timelines, don't look for external doors. Create the frequency that opens the inner one. And if this message resonates with you, write in the comments, "I choose to live in coherence," because every word written with intention sends a wave through the collective field. And when thousands affirm the same, the planet's vibration changes. Like this video, share it with someone who's awakening, because knowledge, when shared, doesn't just inform, it transforms. Each person who awakens alters the field for all. The break in vibrational coherence is subtle, and that's exactly why it traps most people in lower timelines. It begins the moment the mind disconnects from the body, when you live on autopilot, reacting instead of creating. Modern society was designed for that, to fragment attention. Social media, constant stimulation, comparison, the fear of not being enough, all of it exists to keep consciousness scattered. And a scattered consciousness doesn't create reality, it merely consumes it. Thoth said, "He who does not guard the focus of the mind loses mastery over time." In modern terms, that's pure neuroscience. Mental focus directs the brain's electrical energy, and therefore determines how the quantum field responds. Physics has already shown that the simple act of observation alters matter's behavior. But if your attention shifts every second, the universe doesn't know what you truly want to collapse into form. You send 1,000 different signals and receive chaotic results, not because the universe is confused, but because your vibration is unstable. A distracted mind creates fragmented realities. A coherent mind creates ordered realities. That's why true spiritual power isn't about controlling the outer world, but mastering your own focus. Everything you observe with attention and emotion grows stronger. Everything you ignore fades away. That's both a quantum and a spiritual law, and modern psychology confirms it. When you sustain focused attention on something, your brain builds new neural connections, reinforcing that reality as part of your inner map. So the more you focus on fear, the more your brain identifies fear as safety. But the more you focus on peace, the more peace becomes your natural state. That's why the practice of conscious observation, what Hermetic teachings called self-remembering, is so powerful. It pulls you out of autopilot and returns vibrational command over your life. You stop reacting to the world and begin reprogramming it from within. You don't need complex techniques for that, just presence. 3 deep breaths before you respond. 10 seconds of silence before you decide. Those small moments of awareness are cracks in the fabric of the lower timeline, tiny openings through which light enters. And if you want to free yourself from them, begin now. Breathe, feel, observe, and repeat internally, I am the focus of my creation. Write that in the comments, not just to interact, but to anchor the vibration of that affirmation. Because every time you declare who you are, the field reorganizes to support your truth. Like this video if it resonates, because when this knowledge spreads, consciousness rises. And every person who awakens becomes a new note in the planet's symphony. Beliefs are the invisible matrices of time. They define the boundaries of what you think is possible, and the universe mirrors that inner design. Everything you live is a direct reflection of the belief structure your subconscious currently holds. Thoth said, "Man is a prisoner of his own thought forms. Free yourself, and time will bend to your will." For centuries, that was read as a mystical metaphor. But neuroscience now confirms what Thoth already knew. Beliefs shape perception, and perception creates reality. The subconscious doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's imagined. It simply records repetitive patterns of thought and emotion and turns them into automatic commands. That's why someone can desire abundance but vibrate scarcity, can say they trust but still vibrate fear. The subconscious doesn't obey words, it obeys vibration. These patterns, often inherited from family, culture, or past experiences, form what we can call your base vibrational field, the frequency where your consciousness tends to stabilize. Until that field is reprogrammed, you'll keep collapsing the same timelines, no matter how differently you try to act. Quantum physics refers to this as observer coherence. Until the observer changes, the observed phenomenon remains the same. That's why Thoth taught the art of mental transmutation, transforming the energy of a thought through awareness. It's the Hermetic principle of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Reprogramming your vibrational field begins when you observe belief without judgment. For example, if you believe nothing works out for me, don't fight it, simply observe it. See where it came from. Recognize that this belief is not your essence. It's a vibrational echo you inherited. When you do that, you stop feeding the old field and begin creating space for the new. That's the moment when time opens, old energy dissolves, and new possibilities enter. To accelerate that process, use affirmations with coherent intention, not as empty phrases, but as vibrational commands. Spoken with presence and emotion, affirmations reprogram the subconscious by shifting the electromagnetic field of the heart. So now, repeat silently, and write it in the comments to anchor it in the collective field. I release old beliefs and allow new realities to manifest. Feel the power of that statement. As you say it, The quantum field begins to reorganize probabilities around you. New paths, new people, new versions of you start to align. And if you haven't liked this video yet, do it now. Not for me, but because when this message circulates, it activates more consciousness and alters the collective field. Every awakened mind becomes a new frequency anchored in the higher timeline. Living in a higher timeline is not a temporary state. It's a vibrational lifestyle. It's the result of subtle, repeated choices made every day to keep your energy aligned with higher consciousness. What you eat, what you watch, what you speak, what you feel, all of it feeds the frequency you emit. Modern spirituality sometimes forgets that vibration is not only meditation or mantra. It's daily energetic hygiene. It's choosing what enters your mind with the same care you choose what enters your body. Every stimulus is vibrational information, and the quantum field reacts to all of it. Thoth said, "The soul is shaped by the nourishment of attention. That means everything you feed with your awareness grows. Doubt grows if you feed it. Light grows if you cultivate it." True spiritual awakening is therefore a process of refinement, learning to vibrate with discernment, sensing what uplifts and what drains, what expands and what contracts. That sensitivity is what separates the seeker from the awakened. The seeker still looks outward for answers. The awakened one realizes that every answer is a frequency arising from within. Modern physics refers to this as morphic resonance, the phenomenon where a pattern, once established, begins to replicate throughout the entire system. When you choose to vibrate higher, it's not just your life that changes, it's the field around you that begins to resonate with your new frequency. People near you feel it, even if they can't explain it. Environments shift, energy reorganizes, and when entire groups enter coherence, something extraordinary happens. The collective timeline rises. The earth vibrates in a new tone. Global consciousness expands. This is what Thoth meant by the ascension of the spheres, not a physical event, but a vibrational phenomenon of planetary consciousness. Every elevated thought, every act of compassion, every moment of conscious silence is a vote for humanity's higher timeline. And that is the true meaning of serving the whole. It's not about renouncing the world, it's about transforming it through the vibration of your presence. So if this message touches your heart, share it, not just to inform, but to propagate frequency. When this message reaches more people, the global field shifts, and you become part of that change. Write in the comments, "I am part of the elevation of the whole." That phrase is a vibrational commitment. It's the recognition that your energy is not isolated. It's a note in the great symphony of universal consciousness. And when we all vibrate together in coherence, the entire universe changes its tone. If you've made it this far, know this. You didn't just watch a video. You responded to an energetic call, a reminder of something your soul already knew but had temporarily forgotten. You're not living in ordinary times. You're living at the intersection of timelines, the point where human consciousness decides what it will become. Thoth said, "Worlds divide when consciousness divides," and that is exactly what's happening now. Some continue to vibrate in fear, repeating old patterns, but others are awakening, choosing clarity, coherence, and love. Those are the true builders of the new timelines. You are one of them. Everything you've heard about vibration, focus, beliefs, and coherence isn't theory. It's a map, and that map only works when lived. Knowledge without practice becomes weight, but knowledge lived becomes light. Awakening isn't a destination. It's a continuous process of remembering who you are. It's realizing that time doesn't control you. You shape it. It's understanding that the universe isn't outside of you. It moves in response to you. And when you realize that, something changes forever. You stop chasing life and begin co-creating it consciously. The true magic of Thoth isn't found in ancient rituals, but in the ability of every human being to become their own scribe, to write with awareness the book of their own time. And maybe this is the moment when you must make a vibrational decision, not a rational one, but a choice of the soul, the choice to align with the frequency of your highest self. So repeat and write in the comments to anchor it into the collective field. I choose the highest timeline. That phrase is a declaration of consciousness. It means you no longer accept chaos as normal. It means you are ready to live in coherence, to experience time as a creator, not as a victim. Like this video, subscribe, and share it, not for vanity, but because every time this knowledge spreads, the global field rises. The collective vibration shifts, and the planet transforms. When thousands of minds unite in one single intention, the impossible becomes inevitable. Time reorganizes, humanity awakens, and Earth vibrates at a new frequency. You are not here to watch it happen. You are here to be the frequency that makes it happen.